Welcome to the top line tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to talk about graphs. To create a graph, simply click on the graph icon at the top part of your screen and a graph will be immediately generated. The default setting will always create a pie graph. You can also switch it to generate a bar graph and a line graph. The default setting for the graph style is called 3D stocked. The other possibilities for graph style, as you can see here, are 3D behind, 3D beside, 2D stocked, and 2D beside. Next to style is a drop-down menu called strings. This menu will always display the active fields in your report. This allows you to change the primary display criteria of the graph. Currently, we have vendor selected. You can choose from vendor, site, invoice, voucher, description, and currency. Because we have vendor selected, we see the different vendors from our report around the graph and on the right side of the graph. Dates contains the variable date columns from our original report. We can choose from invoice date, creation date, and pay date. We cannot use dates with a pie graph because the pie graph is incapable of indicating time. Values contains all the numerical columns from our report. We can choose from amount, remain, amount US dollars, paid US dollars, and remain US dollars. We will address others, date adjustment, and cumulative a bit later. We can rotate the pie graph for a better view, and we can also select different segments by either clicking on the graph itself or by clicking on one element from the key on the right. As you can see, when we select a segment of the graph, its corresponding element on the right is highlighted. Now we will generate a bar graph. To do so, first click on the bar graph icon on the left, and then click Graph. To create a line graph, simply do the same, but click on the line graph button. As you can see, with the bar and line graphs, you can zoom in by adjusting the slider on the bottom of the graph. Now we will take a look at what happens when the pie graph doesn't work correctly. In this example, some values for paid US dollars are negative, which is represented by segments which do not have any color. To remove these segments from the graph, type greater than 0 in the paid US dollars search field, then generate a new graph. Sometimes our graph will contain quite a lot of segments, thereby making it difficult to read. We can use the Others search box to set parameters which our graph will then display, making it easier to read. For this example, first in Values, we will select Amount, and in Others type 10,000. Now our graph is only displaying vendors which have an amount of 10,000 or more. All other vendors with an amount less than 10,000 have been combined into one category called Others. It is important to note that playing with the graph does not alter the original data. When we search for information, that information is taken from the database. But when we create a graph, the information is drawn from a saved file and ApplStream does not need to connect to the database. As you can see, our graph is located under Saved Reports Data on the main menu. If we click on it, we see the original report which we can then create a graph from. Here you can see what the bar and line graphs look like when we utilize the Others search box. Now we will see each graph with site selected instead of vendor from the Strings drop-down menu. Now we will take a look at both bar and line graphs with dates activated. You can only activate dates in a graph if the corresponding report contains dates. As you can see, the date is located on the bottom of the graph, and the amount is located on the left side of the graph. Also, each bar displays the amount. The 3D behind style graph is very good for viewing things spatially. Now we will take a look at the 3D beside style. We need to adjust it in order to view the data accurately. Both 2D stocked and 2D beside are very similar to their corresponding 3D styles. Again, with 2D beside, we need to zoom in as we did with 3D beside in order to view the data accurately. With the Date Adjustment drop-down box, we can select if we want the timeline to be divided by days, weeks, or months. If you select Automatically, ApplStream will choose the best setting for you. Selecting the option called Cumulative will summarize all values according to the timeline. In these examples, we can see the total value by week. Of course, the graphs can be again displayed without the cumulative option.